Do you think Parabellum was the best Challenger League team in history?
I would say yeah. I mean, I don't know. RTV was cool and all, but RTV was cool and all, but they
All
weren't
right.
us.
So here I am with Koolaid. You would most recently know him from his time in Gang Gang Gaming, or if you go a little bit further back, he was a long time player for Parabellum Esports during the NAL back when it was on LAN, and a little bit farther back for being one of the best Challenger League teams in the history of NA, going back to back, winning stage two and stage three, and then following it up with winning relegations against Xset in 2021. So, pretty strong Challenger League team as far as that goes. But I did want to start this off asking about where you got your competitive start, because Wikipedia says it was USN quals with like Renaissance spelt weird. But is that
Nation?
actually
Yeah.
true? Because I know sometimes when it comes to those like T3, T4 tournaments, Wikipedia doesn't always like list those because they can't do that. Just too many.
Yeah. I think legally I did not play on that Renaissance team because I was 15, I think.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah, legally speaking.
of
But
course.
I think start of comp was I switched over from PS4 and it was CCS season through two
Wow.
quals.
Okay.
And so I played with Discover, who you might know, Forrest from SSG and whatnot. Uh, Played with him. We lost to Iconic in CCS quals, so a bit of a throwback, but that's where I started out. Yeah.
Okay, and I think the part of the story that gets like the part of your career that kind of starts taking off and starts its upward trajectory is joining Parabellum, because up until that point you're playing on like Aerial Arise and some teams with people like Whitlock, but on Parabellum you're not just joining any Challenger League team. This is like Parabellum, the team that just qualified to SI and like did some damage there. Honestly,
Mhm.
what were the expectations and what were your thought process joining Parabellum of every team?
I mean, honestly, for me, I had to. So I'm a very anxious person, right?
Yeah.
I have chronic anxiety, and so I had to kind of psych myself into the competitive spirit. Like whenever I would shit talk, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, it's to psych myself into it. Like I don't know. But yeah, it was a lot of pressure, and of course after the SI run, that they actually beat G2 on like the main stage. Uh, I mean, I went on a trip to the Outer Banks in North Carolina right after that. I fully expected not to be on the team after that
Oh. Oh
because
no.
uh, I don't know. I mean, you can't like disregard that performance, but they showed their faith in me, so uh, I I don't know. That helped me gain my I don't know,
Confidence?
faith in myself, I guess I could say.
Okay. Yeah, and so when I looked at the Wikipedia, I initially read off the first stage of 2021 Challenger League because when I saw it, I was like, "Oh, sixth to eighth. What happened there? Whatever. Probably just a downward result." I looked again, and it actually says that you barely missed playoffs by round differential to Slaughterhouse because you were tied in points, and due to the way the system worked, that actually put it to like the results of your match against them, and they beat you in overtime, and that's the reason you weren't in like stage one playoffs.
Yeah. So honestly, I only played like a couple games first
Oh,
stage of
okay.
CL because it was the stage right before SI, right?
Yeah.
And they were trying to get Sonar and Euphoria back in the mojo. And so I didn't play the back half of the season at all.
Oh,
I would
okay.
not have gotten 1v3'd by Pox uh, to lose Coastline. That's on me. I should have been there, but no, I didn't play that entire stage. Uh, what is it? I was kind of just floating around, I guess. I
Okay.
was on the team, I was in the practice and whatnot, but I wasn't actually playing. I was a budget coach, if you
Oh, okay.
will.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
got really boring doing stats and whatnot, so I stopped doing that. But yeah, I mean, granted, I did not play that well first stage, but lowest rating of CL and PL across
Oh,
my tenure. But yeah, yeah,
hey.
you
I
know,
mean,
is
some
what it
people
is.
don't even get there.
That's fair.
But as far as stage two goes, this is where it really hits. You know, you
Hmm.
start hitting your stride, and this time you come into Challenger League way stronger. Like you make playoffs. You're looking good. I wish I could talk about the matches in particular, but they are lost to the ether. I cannot talk
Yeah,
about them. Like what happened with this run to win stage two? Because I want to say you picked up Melted at this point.
Melted was stage three.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
stage two, we were playing with Sonar.
Yeah.
Uh, and we went flawless in regular season apart from losing to Orglis, which was Gotcha, Prod, uh,
Young
I forget
Alec
who else,
and
Young Alec,
Oasis.
Barring,
Barring
whatnot.
and
Yeah.
Oasis, yeah.
Uh, we lost first map in finals of that, and then we won 14 rounds in a row, uh, on back-to-back maps. So that was kind of cool. But
Yeah.
I don't know. There was a difference with the Sonar. So first stage, whenever I played with Luis, before he got banned.
Yeah, yeah. Banned for cheating.
So yeah, yeah, banned for cheating against fucking a CL player in a ranked game. As you do,
As you do.
but as you do. But yeah, it was slightly different because we had the play calling, which you can foreshadow that to our uh my pro league tenure, where there was a lot less shot calling. Um,
Okay, so Sonar
but
was
yeah,
doing a lot of that, like, shot calling and IGLing during stage two, or was it kind of like a half and half with him and Penguin? Because in stage three of Challenger League and, like, the early stages of your NAL tenure, a lot of the discussion was like, oh, Penguin's this IGL, Penguin's the shot caller. Was there, like, a distribution of the calling when Sonar was on the
uh,
team?
I would say it's like Peng was definitely the shot caller, definitely the IGL, but Sona was like the dad, keep all
Oh,
your
okay.
ducks in a row. Um, so yeah, he was more there, keep everyone on check, in check, and whatnot. And I think that's what a lot of teams really need right now. If you look across the NIL and whatnot.
Yeah. And then moving on to stage three, because I actually can talk about this with a little bit more depth, having watched the matches. Uh, you bring in Melted for Sonar, and the thought process there was it just more firepower? Pang's a good IGL, so we're gonna bring in like Melted with some firepower, a little bit more flexibility because you could see Melted and Penguin would start like swapping on and off the fragging entry kind of roles and the like hard breach second support type roles just kind of there, and then you're doing the other half of the support work, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the reason why Sonar got dropped was because we were such good friends with Melted One. And every time on Chalet, solar attacks, so we would just repel in solar and whatnot on dining. Sonar he would be playing Nomad on trophy window, and he would let the person run across trophy up solar and kill us every round. But, I love Logan, but
Yeah,
that's probably why he got dropped and why Spirits pushed for it so hard. But yeah, that was why. And I think the first tryout scrim we had with Melted, he went like 36-3. So we were just like, I guess it's not gonna go bad. And then it kind of went bad at the beginning of the stage. But
yeah. But you did manage to recover enough to go
mhm,
into playoffs once again, and
barely.
here barely, but you did get there.
Hmm.
And there you almost immediately got put in the lower bracket by
Yeah.
Giddy and the rest of investigation file. Like, tell me about this lower bracket run, because now not only are you barely making it into playoffs, you're in lower bracket to like retain your crown as the like best team in Challenger League. What was the mental at, and like what was the work that went into stopping that?
I mean, honestly, after the first loss to investigation file, like, I mean, none of our hopes were like tarnished and whatnot. Because I don't know, we kind of had egos about it, and if you looked at the records, we were 17-1 in elimination maps, rounds, matches
Yeah,
from our entire time as Parabellum. So we were like backs against the wall. I mean, go hard or go home. So, and then once we beat them 2-0, I think, or was it
yeah,
2-1?
yeah. It was 2-0 in the rematch.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. And we were just like, I mean, I guess we got to win now. Can't ruin it there. And that was KCP in the finals, right?
It was Aerial Arise with
Yeah,
I want to
Ariel, who was
say,
KCP. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
With Gomez, Diaz, Wimpy, Beasley.
yeah.
Forgot the last. My bad. My bad,
No,
whoever that
it's
was.
escaping me. But yeah, what was it like playing that grand finals though? Because if memory serves, I'm pretty sure Spirits like was an absolute demon for at least one of those maps. Like, what was
Hey,
it
hey,
playing
don't
with?
disrespect me.
Oh no,
Don't
you
disrespect
did work
me.
too. You did work too. But like, this
I was just
was
on Chalet.
yeah, but like that was an insane map because
Hmm.
it was for the relegation spot, which nowadays seems like a far off concept. But like that was to replace the pro league team. That was to
Hmm.
stop. Like the narrative was Kool-Aid is working at a McDonald's, and you know if he gets the shot at relegations, now he goes to Vegas to compete on LAN for like essentially a career. Like
Hmm.
what was it competing against Aerial Rise and Co. in that kind of like environment? What were you feeling the pressure of those stakes?
Honestly, uh, I, I guess I would. We were all feeling the pressure, but it was more so. I mean, we got this far. I mean, we can't lose. I think the relegation match against Xset, I was shaken a lot more. Oh my gosh, that was ridiculous. There's some stories about rels and whatnot, but I mean, it was just a privilege and an honor because we only made playoffs based on like a tiebreaker.
I think
That
so.
it was some ridiculous tiebreaker with like Ariel and then the Aqualix. So we were like the second out of third team in that because I went to a mini league and we
Oh yeah,
barely
yeah, yeah.
scratched it out. Uh, but oh, I think we were like 4-5 that stage.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
you
we
had a
like
+1 round count, and I think that's
yeah,
what did it.
yeah. But like we did not play well that stage regular season wise, and I mean everything after that was we were just blessed to be there. We didn't earn it in any respect. So if we can prove that we earned it second-handedly, uh, it was just a blessing.
Yeah, and I do want to talk about that relegation match against
Hmm.
Xset because honestly, from the outside looking in, it's pretty absurd the way in which those relegations were handled. Because
Hmm.
Xset has been playing the past year on land in Vienna in the HyperX arena, like in front of all these people. Here we have Parabellum getting flown out to Vegas for the first time ever to compete on land, probably for the first time ever, unless you've done a BYOC or something, to
Hmm.
compete against this Pro League team, which, you know, the prevailing thought process would be Challenger League team is the underdog compared to a Pro League team. Like, going into that match, you know, it was a 3-0, but some of those maps were close, right?
Yeah. I think if NBK showed up a little more on the first two maps, maybe it would have been a different story. But yeah, I mean the entire like thing was so cool. Like just getting there, we were like practicing right in the casino.
Wow,
Like they had a
really?
practice room. Yeah, we'd go into like this little side door, go in our practice room and whatnot. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Going from like I don't know, just playing rooms the entire time, and then that. And okay, so on the broadcast, like it shows like all the masks and whatnot.
Yeah.
And so we originally weren't supposed to be wearing masks,
Oh,
but
okay.
Spirits got COVID, or he tested positive for COVID. So then they made us wear a mask instead of sending us home and whatnot.
Yeah.
But so I mean that was kind of funny. We had to isolate from our teammate until up until, but he didn't
Yeah.
have COVID. It was a false positive.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. It was a really cool experience. I was shaking. Like if you saw my first round, oh my God, they rushed like the breach on a snowmobile.
Yeah.
And I think I was Jaeger. No, I was
You were
Koolaid
Cade,
and
yeah.
Nectar. And I swear to God, like I was like this, trying to wall bang through a smoke. Oh my God. It was I was so scared they would have showed me like just actually like playing the game instead of the final like little shot. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It was a crazy experience and like I don't know. I came from PS4. Like I don't know. It was ridiculous like going from like where I was and then to where I was then.
Yeah,
And
and to win map 3 of those relegation matches, you
mhm.
actually had an over it got pushed to overtime and you guys were down 6-7 in a 2v3
Mhm.
situation. Do you remember this?
Oh, was this Oregon or
I
was
believe it
this
was Oregon for the third map, and it was like OT 6-7. You guys are in a 2v3. It's not looking great, and you managed to clutch up and push for the max OT win. Do you remember that particular moment?
if I saw like a screenshot of any point in that round, I probably would just know it like that.
Yeah.
Um I don't know. I have really bad memory. It's
No, that's
literally
fair.
ridiculous. But I remember like the last round because VBM, our coach, like recorded the comms and whatnot, and it was like it went 5v5 and then 5v4, 5v3, 5v2, and then eventually like 5v1. And I just remember saying, "It's NVK, swing this fucker," and and in a little different words, so we had to bleep
Yeah.
that out. But I don't know. I was so happy right there. I mean, I didn't play good at all, and like I was still happy. And usually, whenever I'd play bad in a game, I just wouldn't be looking good for me. But no, it was just pure like elation and whatnot, and to do it with all my friends, and it was great.
Yeah, and you mentioned VBM there. We know now, having had those Element 1 listens, that this guy has insane prep work and, like, all this stuff. What kind of coach was he, and what kind of value did he bring to that Parabellum roster? Even though it was, like, all online, not in person, what kind of value did he bring?
I mean, he was the backbone of our team. I mean, like he would prep everything. Like if you didn't know what the other team was doing, like you were kind of trolling yourself by not looking prep work. But I will say I think he was loyal to a fault. I think if he needed to take some opportunities that he was given in retrospect, uh, I think he could have been one of the greatest coaches of all time. But I think I'm thankful for it because he stuck with me.
Yeah.
But I think uh, little different career path, and he would be like hoisting an SI trophy. But yeah, I mean, he was integral. I mean, he's my best friend now. I love Varun.
Yeah.
He finally got to Canada or North America now, so he's finally here. A
All right, let's
little too
go.
late, but
I
uh,
mean,
no, I'm not running it back. I'm done.
you're
I'm
done. You're
done.
done.
I'm done.
All right. So now, moving on, before we move on to the NAL proper, I did want to pick your brain a little bit about your thoughts on Spirits and Penguin as teammates, particularly Penguin, because I feel like he was almost the like totem of the Parabellum playstyle.
hmm
That like, oh, we always got a wacky strat. We like on defense, we're presenting a puzzle, is how someone described it. You know, what are your thoughts on Penguin and just like this Parabellum style of always being willing to pull something wacky out, pull out a fuse, pull out a wacky hold we've never seen before?
Um, I think that's just who he is. He always likes to think around the box. I think so. He has a little brother who's in the NHL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think I mean his brother's like 6'6", like 200. Like he's literally a unit, and I think having to think around the box when he was like younger to like, get around that, even though he was like the older brother and whatnot. But
Yeah.
I think that really molded his mind at a point, and I think I don't know whatever Peng did, like I do it. Like I think it that combined with we were like Challenger League players, we didn't have any real like pro league experience going into Challenger League. I think that compounded with Penguin just like trying to think outside the box, really formed our play style and molded it going forward. And I mean that him and Gasher are like my two biggest mentors. So that's I wouldn't say I modeled my game after them, but they were really influential in my development.
Yeah, and across the like 2022 season of the NAL, we kind of saw Parabellum, or at least from the outside looking in, it looked like Parabellum lost a little bit of that like flexibility and wackiness as more and more of the original team kind of moved on. Do you think like that was just a result of being in tier 1 and all of a sudden these like wacky plays don't work as much, or was it because attacker repick kind of killed off the Parabellum puzzle defense? What was the cause of Parabellum kind of turning into a more, I guess, standard NAL team?
Um, I think it goes hand in hand with going to T1, not having the resources that other teams can provide, so you lose players and whatnot.
Okay.
And I think the Parabellum playstyle really relied upon synergy and knowing everyone like on the team. It's a lot less thinking. It's a lot more like you're you. You're gonna you're gonna do what you do. Uh, and I think we lost Spirits of Melted going into the first stage, and then we were already like destined to make another roster change anyways because we picked up Blaz and we had a substitute.
Yeah, yeah. When people
for
were
stage
subbing.
one. Yeah. So it's just a lot of like uh like departures and arrivals that I mean, you can't really fit a system in like that in 3 months, let alone, I mean, honestly, it's like a month that you had to prepare for each stage.
So just
I
too much
mean,
prep, not enough time.
yeah, and it's not even like prep. You just need like reps. Like you can't get reps. I mean, we didn't have internet for the first week that we were uh like in Vegas with the team. So we had a week of prep in game wise, like just going against NAL teams. So I mean, in retrospect, I guess we didn't go to do too bad, but um, it I don't know. There are a lot of things I wish we would have done differently in Pro League, and I mean, I'll never have the chance again to change that. So is what it is.
I did want to ask about just the very opportunity itself, not just being a pro league player, but being a pro league player for the NAL when it's offline. It's in Vegas. You
Hmm.
have a team house or apartments or however Parabellum did it. What and what kind of opportunity was that, and what was it like living that lifestyle? Because you would see from DZ and or maybe it was SSG, but you see these like big ass mansions, and you kind of hear down the grapevine of like, oh yeah, we would all party at Xset's house, we would all party at
Yeah.
these guys' house, like we're all friends outside the game. Like, what was it like living that life? And obviously, Parabellum, rest in peace, or maybe not, depending on your view of the org. But
It depends.
yeah, but clearly didn't have the same financial resources. I doubt you guys were getting a mansion in quite the same scale. But what was it like being in that lifestyle, being in that space with like all the players in the same like area?
Yeah. I mean, if you've ever been to like a major party or like the SI parties, like I mean, it's great, and it's like that almost every day.
Wow.
Granted, on okay, not every day, but like every after every play day or whatnot. But we did two play days, so after every other whatever.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
However
But
it
I
works
mean,
out.
yeah, there'd be like parties. There'd be a Halloween party. There were all these different things, and it was great. I really like, even though my mental, like, I don't know, I was really depressed at the time I was in the NAL, but I think retrospectively, I think it was one of the best times of my life. Uh, I think I didn't take that. I took it for granted what we had out there. Um, Living with 5 year best friends and whatnot. Just it's a great experience. And I'm really thankful in retrospect for that. And even though I may not have the best view of Parabellum as it stands today, or doesn't stand, I guess you could say,
Yeah,
uh, I just want to thank them for being able to support us in the beginning transition and whatnot. And you know,
yeah. And so I do want to ask like what it's like competing on land and just being in such close proximity because Parabellum before VNAL was already you already liked typing in game, but now you don't have to type. You can just yell. You know,
yeah.
what was the you mentioned earlier about part of the typing, part of the yelling is to hype yourself up and get yourself in it. But was there any other like aspect trying to get in the opponent's head or just yelling to yell? Like, what is it like? What's the difference between typing and doing it in person, just yelling over the stage? And why do you do it?
I think the medium is different, definitely, because I mean, no shit, dumbass. Like,
Yeah,
I'm dumb as rocks. Anyways, but I think the intent was still the same. Like, it's just to be funny. Uh, well, for my teammates, I don't really care. I didn't really care what anybody else thought. It was just to make my teammates laugh, get the pressure off of them, make myself laugh, um, take the pressure off of me. Um, but yeah, it was funny. There's a thing where we were yelling with DZ after Blaz clutched like this ridiculous 1v3 on Cafe
oh
where he
yeah,
was like, uh, I don't know, that clip's ridiculous. Shout out Alex, love that guy. But yeah, we were yelling with DZ the entire map, and then they eventually won. And then Canadian runs across the stage yelling at us, and I'm just laughing because it's just funny seeing it like an old man just run at you yelling. I like it was just funny to me, and then we just shook hands, and then like Troy's a goat, love
yeah.
that guy. Uh, but yeah, there's just a lot of funny stories with the yelling and whatnot. But
Did you guys have like an audience of like the other NAL teams? Because I know some clips of Merc from the side of the stage, like recording,
Mhm.
keep baiting, Lax, keep baiting, just stuff like that, where you kind of see that crappy phone quality, like that
Mhm.
stuff. Did you have like an audience, even if it was just the other pro players, or was it really kept empty and it was just the players?
So there was the event staff and whatnot that were by the Luxor and whatnot. And then there was obviously the two teams that were there for the next game. You would get so like a rundown of what the NAL schedule was. You'd wake up at 8:30, you'd take a shower, get ready for 9. You'd get a shuttle over there, then you'd get ready on the stage 9:30 and then play a game at 10.
Yeah,
Um,
something absurd,
yeah,
honestly.
something like that. And then the next team would already be in the next two teams would already be in the arena um, by the time your game starts and whatnot. So you'd always have two teams there, but they have like these practice rooms in the back that I guess it depends on what team you are. Xset wouldn't watch; they'd bring a boom box and whatnot on stage, but like DZ wouldn't watch. Xset would just do whatever the Xset wanted to do. But yeah, there were some. I think Fish came to a couple of NAL games, and then Skittles and then Uzi came to a couple. Uh, but yeah, there wasn't that much of an audience, like how they were like talking about it the year prior and
Okay,
whatnot.
yeah. I did want to pick your brain a bit more about the actual time playing the NAL, as much as
Hmm.
just the idea of it fascinates me.
Yeah.
The first stage was a little rough, and this is the stage where, Blaz is meant to come in and play, but as visas are wont to do, visa troubles, and
Hmm.
you have to pick up Wimpy as a substitute. But you also made another change, which was picking up creators. Why creators and why Blaz? Like, why make these two changes going into the NAL?
I mean, our changes were kind of forced. Spirits got given a $7,000 something a month salary,
Wow.
plus if they came top three, they'd get $1,500 a month added onto that, and that could be duplicated across every stage. So can't compete with that as Parabellum,
Yeah.
uh, sadly enough. And then melted out a disagreement with the ideology moving forward, and I mean Spirits was leaving. I guess he saw the writing on the wall, I guess you could say. But he left for Mirage, so you know. But so we were kind of forced into that. Like in a perfect scenario, we wouldn't have made any changes.
Yeah, but what
But
made Blaz so appealing? Because you guys stuck with this guy for well over a year, which you look at the numbers he dropped, very much earned it. But at the same time, what made importing a player the ideal solution to having to replace somebody like Spirits or somebody like Melted?
I mean, honestly, if you looked at it, um, like the T2 scene, there weren't many, and you didn't really want to rehash any X pros. Like that's just how we felt,
Okay,
and the idea was okay. So our org owner was in love with Brazil. It was a weird fetish or something. I don't know,
I
but
think they had
so
like a Brazilian female CS:GO team or
yeah,
something.
they had a lot of Brazilian stuff. Don't worry,
Yeah.
but yeah, he floated the idea of importing a Brazilian, and then that opened our eyes to looking across. Um, we talked with Speakeasy, Hysterics, um, and then Blaz and whatnot. And we landed on Blaz. I mean, he just had the it factor that,
Yeah.
I mean, you lose with Spirits. Like if Spirits is goes, I mean, you don't have the it factor. Um, so that's really, I mean, that's why we got Blaz. I mean, you looked at his stats. I mean, he was doing that on awful teams, and I guess he did that on our team as well. But um, yeah, I mean, what can you say? That guy is insane. Like, I mean, there's a reason why G2 wanted to pick him up. I mean, like, that's just how it is. He's
Yeah.
one of the best in the game. And I think he gets disrespected a little bit too much based on what teams he's been on. But yeah. And of course, the language barrier was going to be a thing, but he wasn't expected to like shot call or whatnot. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah. And then creators, I mean, I've known Tim since PS4. Uh, Love that guy. One of my best friends while we were in Vegas, and Um, I missed him. I really missed him. I didn't want to drop Tim after first stage, but that's the way of the world. Don't always get what you want. So love that guy. And he was filling an LMG role, an LMG Finka role, which
Yeah.
in turn didn't turn into an LMG Finka role because I started playing that at the later half of this stage. But
I
you
did
know,
want to ask about that because, at this point in time, LMGs were starting to come to the forefront, which we all hated, but it is what it is. It happened.
I kind of liked it.
I mean, look, I also like my 150 bullet,
Yeah,
like, no recoil
no
laser
recoil.
beam,
Mhm.
but it was pretty absurd.
Yeah,
Sometimes you wouldn't actually play the like hard breach or hard support for this team, especially in stage one. Sometimes you would be put on that like Zofia. Was that just a positional thing where it was like, oh, Kool-Aid's in this position, and Creators is flexible enough that he's in the right spot for the hard breach. We'll just put Tempo Tim on hard breach, Kool-Aid on Zofia, or was it more just on some maps you do it, on some maps you don't? Because it was also a little bit map dependent, right?
yeah, it was really map dependent.
Okay.
If Tim wasn't comfortable on like entering in on said map, like I would just flex to it. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I had the best aim across the first stage and whatnot. But so that's what, and like I'm a fairly aggressive player, but I wouldn't say I fit the role
Yeah.
entirely. I'm a bit too timid on the engagement, I guess you could say. But yeah, that was just map dependent and whatnot. And I mean, I enjoyed it. I guess I didn't play as well as I could have, but no, it was really fun.
Yeah. And then moving on to stage two, I think the two biggest changes here are first off that Blaz is here, Blaz is with us, and then second, Gunner is in along with Smitatius, and Smitatius is actually a coach in person, or he's an assistant
Mhm.
coach, but in person,
Yeah.
because VBM he's been your coach this entire time, but he is still in India, I want to say.
Yeah, he was still in India at that point.
Yeah, so he couldn't be behind you guys like you would have like Mint or Lycan or whoever the hell behind the other NAL teams, and Smita kind of filled that space.
Hmm.
Like, what was the thought process with picking up Smita? And give me some thoughts on Gunner because, like, at least when he had an LMG in his hands and he was playing for you guys, he was deadly.
So the thought process behind picking up Smitty was, I mean, he's just going to be behind us. I think the role that we envisioned for him didn't come to fruition. We had heard that he was really analytical based on like ape and whatnot.
Yeah,
But he turned out more just to be a hype man. No disrespect to him. I love Smitty, but
yeah,
he would give his 2 cents and then let Peng get it on, like get it on the rest of the timeouts. But no, I mean it really helped us, I think at least. And of course having Gunner and Blaz helps as well. I think on Gunner, um, I think you have to let him be him. I think he was boxed. I mean, when you go to SQ, right?
yeah,
I mean, you have Rex and you have Grixer. You had Kansan at the point, and then I mean, there's just a lot of mouths to feed, and you're not going to look as well playing a role that you're not accustomed to. Um, and I had experience playing with Gunner in T3, so I kind of knew what he was about. Like he was a lurk role in T3 and whatnot. Um, and then you put him on, like, just do whatever you want. We'll do whatever you want to do. And then it was kind of a two-pronged attack with Blaz and Gunner. And I think it really worked out for us. I think realistically we should have been at the major, but I mean, I'm not gonna say we earned it or anything. Uh,
I did
but yeah,
want
I
to
think
ask
he
about
was.
that.
Yeah. I mean, we lost to Beast Coast when they were like 0 and whatever.
Yeah,
Tough loss.
that was that was a painful one to watch because not it was like you guys had this massive advantage. Gunner is like 11-0 at some point in the game.
Oh,
It's just it was
I know.
just wanting to pull it
Yeah.
over the line. Was it just like something structural? Just sometimes shit happens.
I They just had our number. I don't know. I think we lost. Did we lose some every stage?
I think you
I don't
did.
think.
They were like they're playing to some really weird teams. Like
Yeah.
Beast Coast was always guaranteed at least one upset. one or two upsets, and it was always against the same teams.
Yeah, I mean they owned us. What can you do? Is
Yeah.
what it is. But yeah, I mean Gunner was smoking their shit. But I wasn't, so we kind of lost, I guess. But and then we had the final game against SQ, and
And that was for all the marbles. Like,
yeah,
one of those two matches goes your way, you're at the major. Beast Coast doesn't, so it's down to, like, final play day versus SQ.
mm,
Like, that match right there against Super, which this Sonics, you've already ego challenged them on Chalet before, which is, their staple map and your staple map at this point in time. Like,
mm,
for Parabellum, it's Oregon and
yeah,
Chalet. What goes on in this match? Because, shit, man, it's for a major.
yeah. I mean, uh, I will say a lot of people were shaking in the game. I mean, it's for a major, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna blame anyone for shaking and whatnot. But I will blame people for letting Super get a 3K and top a small tower when he's full flashed as Jaeger. I will blame people for that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think it just wasn't meant to be. And I mean, I showed on the stage. We didn't know ball in that game. So yeah, that was a tough pill to swallow. I mean, that's the final game of your stage. You don't know if you're gonna be there next stage, given the turmoil in the org and whatnot. So you know.
Was that turmoil, that org trouble, known to you guys, or was it kind of on the back burner, like you'd hear rumblings, or was it were they very open about like any financial troubles or any of that stuff?
Um, there weren't any financial troubles at that time. It was just
Hmm.
very skimpy, I guess you could say. I mean, our house wasn't furnished at all.
Okay.
Uh, we didn't have. I mean, I have a picture on my Twitter somewhere of we were playing on dining room chairs from IKEA first
Oh, okay.
stage in the game room.
Yeah.
And there's a picture on there of like my shit falling apart. But um, there wasn't a lot of backing. I'm not gonna shit talk them really. I'll give some nuggets here and there, but
Yeah. Yeah.
it wasn't. You weren't on DZ. You weren't on M80. You
Yeah.
weren't on that stuff. Uh,
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, we've seen plenty
yeah,
of smaller scale orgs do plenty well. Like, you look at somebody like Ents in CS:GO right now.
yeah,
They're not exactly rolling in it. They still make it work. There's nothing wrong with
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Do you think fate changes, like the fate of the org and potentially some of the Parabellum careers changes? Your career, for example, do you think they change if you had made this major? Do you think that affects like some of the roster changes that do go down later on?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know where Gunner's head was at. I think he was getting kind of talked to by SQ the entire stage. I'm not gonna say there was
Wow.
any tampering, but
Yeah.
I mean, the writing was on the wall there from like the mid-season, uh, in my mind. But I mean, I can't blame him. He gets a pay upgrade. He gets org support. Um, but yeah, I think maybe it changed a little bit more. Um, I mean, they'd probably subsidize a little bit more furniture,
Yeah.
which would have been good. But yeah, it might have locked Gunner into playing on the team longer, which would have given us a better chance at stage three, which did not turn out too well. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So in that case, let's move on to stage three here.
Mhm.
Stage three, obviously, Gunner's not under your control. That move's happening whether you like it or not, because just difference in org. But and that requires the doc pickup. But I saw from the media days, like the media interviews pre-stage, that when discussing the Penguin drop, you guys decide to drop him after picking up Doc and then picking up Asian over Penguin. What was the thought
Uh,
process there?
I think, I mean, the thought process was, I mean, I don't know. It felt like Penguin lost confidence in himself, and I love Keegan. Um, but I don't think he lost confidence in himself, but I think all of the noise on the outside, I mean, like you can say you can tune out the noise, but you can't tune out everything.
Yeah,
Like getting shit talked on Twitter, getting shit talked everywhere, in group chats and everything. I mean, it gets back to you.
yeah,
And I mean, I'm not gonna say I was never affected by that. I mean, definitely. I mean, there was some rumors about me and whatnot, but you know, I think it lost confidence in his shot calling ability. He wouldn't always make the plays that he used to play, he used to make. Um, and I think him getting dropped really wasn't about like wanting to drop him, but I think it was kind of a forced hand,
Needing
whether that
just
be
to
his
make a
fault.
change.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, I was in Toronto on vacation, scrimming on my friend's PC, like with him, because we were having him like retry out and whatnot to see if
Yeah.
he meshed well with Doc. Um, and so I was I was actually crying on like a Toronto subway, like when we dropped him. Like it was like I mean I didn't take these like droppings lightly.
Yeah.
Like it actually affected me. Like it's not just like a game to me. Like these are my best friends. Like like I had a notes app of everyone I've teamed with and how long I've teamed with them. I teamed with Peng for like 2.5 years. Um and I mean it was tough to see him go.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know if I answered your question right,
No,
but
no, that's plenty. But with these moves, that also kind of forced Eska into more of a fragging role, and you also tried to support this all with sonar, and there was clear effort because even though you have a losing record, I will say I've never seen more 5.7s in my life.
uh, yeah. Um, I mean, yeah. I think Eska got dealt a shitty hand. He had never played that role in his life. He did his best every single time. I mean, like going through that, and then I think similarly to Penguin, I mean, he was getting shit talk everywhere.
Yeah,
Like everyone was saying he was a bum, like everything. He was working harder than everybody on the team. Like he was trying his ass off, and felt really bad about that. And I don't think he played exceptionally well, but I don't think he played bad.
no,
Like, but uh, yeah, it was a rough stage. People were trying to get other people drop mid stage. So there was a lot of behind the scenes backstabbing and whatnot. Which I mean, you can see it. We got two new players after the stage as well. So um, yeah, I mean, there is just a lot of like, yeah, I don't know.
yeah,
It's hard to talk about without saying too much, I
yeah.
guess I
Of
could say.
course, of course. And this brings us to kind of the tail end of this Parabellum. You know, having talked about you and Packer, it seems like you both hold each other in like really high regard. But this team just didn't seem to work out. Like, were there opportunities later down the line to play with Packer again, or to like have tried picking somebody like that up earlier? Someone in this like very similar role to you, because you were always in those more supportive roles, but you were at least early on you were very flexible. Sometimes you're on the Zofia, sometimes you're on the Monty. You're not always on the hard breach. You're not always on the smoke. But it feels like as time went on, you were more and more kind of like restricted to that hard breach role. Do you think having a Packer type figure who's more than willing to be on that shotgun, more than willing to be on that hard breach, would that have helped out a little bit more?
Um, I think it was just a natural progression of my career, or
Okay.
like I guess you could say career. I don't even think you could say that, but I think it was just a natural progression to things that I kind of toned it down. I tried to perfect a role because there was always a lot of different changes in the team. So if I could lock down this one thing, that would be best. Um, but I went. There weren't a lot of opportunities. I mean, I was kind of locked into gang gaming. Yeah,
Okay.
I was honestly at that point. I was like, if I'm gonna make it again, it's gonna be with these guys. If it's not, I mean, I'm done. Like it's just how it is. I mean, that's how it was with the Xeno and CZ too. I mean,
Okay.
if it wasn't this team, it was a no team.
I see.
So
I,
yeah, I
I
don't know.
do want to ask though. I think it was Gang Academy for Solar Flare League. You did actually play with Karn and Co. According to the Wikipedia, was that actually a thing? Was there an opportunity where like Karn was potentially on GGG?
Oh, no, 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 no. I
Or,
think we just used the Gang Game Academy because Karn didn't want to use Carnage,
oh, okay.
his Karnico and whatnot. It was just a random put
Pug
together
stack.
teams.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really enjoyed playing with Karn. I think people give him a lot of shit because he's old, but I think I mean, his aim's not awful. It's not poison level, you know? But I don't know. He does a really good job, like um, calling back to Sonar and CL. I mean, I wouldn't say Karn is like an IGL,
Yeah,
but he's an IGL enough, and he also gives you that father role, I guess you could say.
yeah,
Not trying to like make call him because he's old, but
yeah. You just someone who keeps you in
yeah, he
line,
keeps
someone
keeps
who keeps
everyone
you
together.
honest.
Yeah.
Like everyone needs
Um.
that.
Yeah. But no, I really enjoyed playing with Karn. He deserves everything that comes to him.
Right. And then final thing here, is there anything? Or actually, before I get to the final closing statement, I do want to end this on: do you think Parabellum was the best Challenger League team in history? Because we have the results. You know, the competition is RTV. Like it's one of you two.
I would say yeah. I mean, I don't know. RTV was cool and all, but RTV was cool and all, but they
All
weren't
right,
us. They weren't us.
fair enough. To close out this interview, is there anything you want to say, Kool-Aid? Anyone you want to shout out?
Uh, I don't know. I think everyone who knows, like everyone who I appreciate knows I appreciate them. I mean, thank you for doing this interview. I mean, it was cool.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I've been out of the game for a bit. I'm, I'm off to college. I'm out of here.
Oh damn. All right,
Uh,
let's go, man.
but yeah. I don't know. I'm just thankful for everyone who watched, everyone who talked to me throughout the years. Um, and stop giving these pro league players so much shit. They're trying their ass off. I'm telling you. Like, it's so difficult to be
Yeah.
where they are. Um, I think people need to give a lot more credit to those people.